Good morning, Dr. Jekyll. Okay, now that I've read you the rules of deposition, and we know that you've had your deposition taken a few times, you may have a little bit of an understanding of what's happening here today. So, Dr. Jekyll, I'm going to ask you some questions, of course, and if the answers are yes or no, please answer in yes or no format. And if I ask you some questions and I have follow-ups, I'm certainly going to let you know. Okay, so Dr. Jekyll, what is your current employment? Okay, you're employed as a physician, I understand. What kind of a physician are you? Where did you go to medical school? Dr. Jekyll, what is your training? Okay, and before you went to medical school, what is it you were doing? You had internships, okay? What specific kind of a surgeon are you? Okay, well, plastic surgery is a broad field, Dr. Jekyll. What kind of operations do you perform on a routine basis for your patients? What do you specialize in? Okay, reconstructive surgery, I understand. That's a lot like Dr. Frankenstein, in a sense, isn't it? Oh, okay, I understand. The patients that you practice on are not in that condition, but you're essentially remaking the way that they look, is that right? That seems highly technical. You board certified? Of course, of course. Is that standard to be board certified in the profession you're in? Okay. Dr. Jekyll, have you ever had surgery performed on you? You have. Okay. And what kind of surgery have you had performed on yourself? All right, I understand. Why did you need to have that surgery performed? Did you have any complications from the surgery that you performed on yourself? Dr. Jekyll, have you ever heard of a person named Mr. Hyde? Okay, so now, ladies and gentlemen, you've just been introduced to the very basic, foundational way that a deposition works. Depositions are not just for personal injury cases or workman's displaced discrimination or workman's compensation or things like that. Depositions are also for divorce cases. And when you have your deposition taken, the questions can seem really innocent. The questions can seem not only innocent, the questions can also seem really complex. They can seem bizarre. They can seem off topic. And those questions that seem off topic are the ones that you're not going to see coming, which is why it's important when you practice with your attorney that they prepare you. Now, we can't tell you what to say and how to answer, but we can ask you questions the other side is likely to ask to help prepare you for what you're going to say. Because if somebody asked me, and this happened in law school, we were doing a practice interview just in case I was going to apply for a larger law firm, which I had no interest in doing and I never wanted to, but I thought it was a good idea to at least play along, at least have that experience. I mean, it's good to have experience with things. So in law school, I had somebody who worked for a large firm, really very nice attorney. Maybe she watches the pod, maybe she doesn't, but very nice attorney, asked me some questions. And then one of the things she asked was a red herring, red flag questions. So tell me something that you've done in the past that you wish you could do better, that you might not want to do when you work for our law firm. And I had no idea what to say, so I thought way back to something I had done wrong and how I would improve it. And that was a terrible answer that I gave. And the same applies to depositions. If somebody asks you a question and you're not prepared to answer it, maybe you should think about it. But when you're being deposed, you have all of 1 second to think about it. And our answers that we give when we have no time, very limited time to think about something, are often terrible in comparison to when we've cleaned up our language a little bit. At the spur of the moment, if you ever had a disagreement or a fight with your spouse and you said something you wish you hadn't, or the way in which you said was hurtful, inartful, or insensitive, well, yeah. If you had more time, you would have written a shorter letter. If you had more time, you would have had a better argument. If you had more time, you wouldn't have said something insensitive and totally foolish. That's the way it works. The way it works is you need more time to think about your answer. In a deposition, if you're asked 1,000 questions, you probably have very little time to think about it. But if your counsel is careful counsel and does a really good job in preparing you for depositions, then you know what kinds of questions are going to be asked, the tone of those questions, maybe whether or not you need to listen to the question a little bit better and not go off on tangents, and things like that. So when you consider the counsel you hire for your family law depositions, because those questions are going to be used for hearings and trials, think very carefully about which is the most prepared and who's going to do the very best job for you.